Welcome to another episode of Software Explorations, Concept and Overviews, hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph, where we're engineered to win. In this week's episode, we're going to continue with part 2 of our introduction to Jenkins. If you saw last week on the Software Explorations Thursday night live stream, we were setting up Jenkins on an AWS EC2 instance. When we get back to live streaming next week, we're going to continue with that, and then we will be getting into setting up Jenkins locally using Docker and stuff like that. So many good stuff coming up. I really urge you to subscribe to the channel, to like the video, share the video as well, hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live. And if you want to do more work in depth, get a plan on how to learn QA, software engineering, how to use these tools so that you can level up, get the skills you need, go to techcoachralph.dev. Sign up for the Patreon as well as sign up for a coaching plan where we can work together and I can help you get to the next step. All right. But with that being said, let's jump into our presentation on part 2 of Jenkins and why it is so important to your development. All right. So part 2, to me, Jenkins is the most popular CI/CD tool ever, continuous integration, continuous development tool. So let's get into it. So what is our agenda for today? We're going to do a quick recap of Jenkins part 1 from last week. Then we're going to talk about continuous testing. We're going to talk about deploying with Jenkins, monitoring and reporting, extending Jenkins with plugins that they have, the best practices, some challenges and solutions, and then the future of Jenkins. And then we're going to wrap it up with our Q&A and our conclusion. All right. So let's jump into it. So what did we talk about last week in part 1? We spoke about what is Jenkins. We spoke about the Jenkins architecture, how to set up Jenkins, which you could also see on the live stream from last week where we were actually setting up Jenkins on an AWS EC2 instance, right? We spoke about the Jenkins UI. We spoke about Jenkins pipelines, Jenkins and version control, and the automated build. So if you missed that from last week, check out the video from last week on how we we went through it, broke it down, and then we actually used a lot of this on the live stream from last week. So check out both of those videos, which I will be pinning to this to this video so that you can access them easily. So you definitely want to check out the whole ecosystem because it's going to be very important to your development. You need to know this stuff if you are trying to be in tech, especially in the software development, QA, software development and quality assurance space. All right. So let's talk about continuous testing. All right. We see here taking a test. So what is continuous testing? It involves automatically executing tests as part of your continuous integration and continuous development pipeline to ensure code quality and functionality at every stage of development. So let's say, for instance, you have a branch where you push up, you're going to run your test on that branch, and then now you merge it into like master, for instance, it's going to run it in that branch as well. So you can set it up to run on different branches, different environments, things like that. It integrates with testing frameworks such as Node.js, Python, and Java, allowing developers to run unit, integration, and functional tests consistently across different languages. So one of the things that we were doing last week that we got it to work at the end of the live stream was getting Node installed and able to make sure that NPM and Node are giving us the version. When we go back to our live stream, we're going to be continuing to try to run our tests inside I think we're trying to do playwright tests. We're going to use playwright tests to run it inside our Jenkins environment. And then we're going to see if we can do the whole build with that. All right. So for API testing, Jenkins can trigger tools like Postman or Rest Assured to validate endpoints, while UI testing can be handled with Selenium or Cypress or Playwright to simulate user interactions. This automated approach ensures rapid feedback on code changes, helping identify and address issues early in the development process. And this is so important because I can't tell you how much we rely on automated tests because it can give you some really quick feedback if something is wrong. There's still some little bit of manual testing that's involved. Like we're focused on manual testing the new functionality that's being introduced. But for all the old functionality, we run automated tests. And if they fail, then we go look at what caused it to fail. And then we might have to open up a defect. We might have to make some changes. But it lets us know right away. And you can run these tests over and over again to get that rapid feedback, which is so important to your software development lifecycle. So what about deploying with Jenkins? We see these men being deployed. We're not talking about this type of deployment, but it can be quite similar. So Jenkins helps automate the process of putting software onto servers so it's faster and more reliable. It can run scripts that do the work to move code to different places like testing and live environments without much human effort. We don't want much human intervention because when human gets involved, that's when mistakes happen. So if we can automate the process, it makes it so much safer for us, right? Jenkins also allows for safe ways to update software, making sure that new versions go live smoothly without breaking things. That's very, very important because if you have to break something every time you deploy, that is a recipe for disaster. So monitoring and reporting. Jenkins provides monitoring and reporting features to help track the health and the performance of your builds and deployments. So you'll be able to see that it'll tell you how many times a build failed, the last time it was ran, the status of it, and you're able to see what's failing, why it's failing, where it's failing, and you can make adjustments as necessary. It also has built-in tools and plugins that generates reports on test results, code coverage, and build status, giving you insights into how well your projects are running. Jenkins can also send notifications about build success or failures, helping teams quickly identify and address issues as they rise. So one thing I used to do, right? I would set up Jenkins to be able to email me when tests complete, especially if they fail, so that I can go and investigate right away. If it passes, I don't need to I can always log in and see, but if it fails, I need to know right away so that we can make sure we can get that fixed so that we can deploy as quickly and as effectively and as efficiently as possible. So what about extending Jenkins plugins? Jenkins allows users to extend its capabilities through a wide range of plugins available in its ecosystem. So one of the things that we did last week was we actually installed the Node.js plugin as well as installed the Node library or pretty much Node.js and npm onto our Jenkins server so we could actually be able to execute node tests. So that's going to help us to run our playwright tests as well. These plugins can add new features, integrate with other tools, and customize Jenkins to better fit specific project needs, such as supporting different version control systems, build tools, or deployment platforms. So what are some best practices for using Jenkins? Keep your Jenkins instance up to date to the latest version to benefit from security patches and new features. Super important because there's people are going to try to get into your machine, right? Also, it's very important to use pipeline as code by defining build steps in a Jenkins file, which helps maintain consistency and version control for your CI/CD workflow. So that's definitely going to be something that we do on the live stream. We're going to be building out a Jenkins file to use a pipeline. Kind of to me, it's very similar to a GitHub action, right? But that Jenkins file is going to get in there and it's going to do whatever it's supposed to do. Execute the test. So we're going to learn how to actually write out that Jenkins file. Maybe we'll do a concept and overview similar to this on the Jenkins file because I think it's very important. Like I said, Jenkins is the most popular CI/CD tool because it's open source, and because it's open source, many people can contribute to it, add new features, customize it on their own. Very, very important, right? Some more best practices. Regularly backing up Jenkins configurations and build artifacts ensures that you can quickly recover from any data loss or system failure. Plugins sparingly, use plugins sparingly and only when necessary can help maintain system stability and performance, as excessive plugins might lead to complexity and potential conflicts. So, what are some challenges and solutions to using Jenkins? It can be a little challenging sometimes, right? So, one challenge is scalability. As a number of jobs and users grow, so the more jobs you add, the more users you get, it's going to be scalability might be an issue. How do you get around that? So you would want to set up distributed builds with multiple agents to balance the load. So on Jenkins, you can have the same server, which is the main server, right? It can also be your agent, which is it's not going to scale well. So you would probably be better off setting up multiple instances or multiple cloud instances so that it can be distributed evenly, and based on the load on one agent, it can push it off to another agent. So what else? Managing plugin compatibility. It's a big challenge as frequent updates can lead to conflict instability. What does that mean? So you can have a plugin that's working on version 2.0, but then when they update it to version 2.1, that plugin is not going to be working. So how do you address this? It can be addressed by carefully testing plugin updates in a staging environment before applying them to production. So that's one way of handling it. Another challenge is it requires robust security practices, as it can be a target for attacks. Using proper authentication methods such as securing the Jenkins instance and regularly updating plugins can help mitigate these risks. So one thing that you can do, you can use like LDAP, you can use SSO. trying to avoid having a manual login to Jenkins is going to be one of your best bets. At a prior job, what I did was, because our LDAP was in our testing environment, to access our testing environment, I was able to integrate the LDAP into Jenkins as well, so that we can manage it that way, so that we didn't have to manage usernames and password manually within Jenkins, which could be easily for the most part hacked. We were using our LDAP, which is like, it's a totally different environment, connect to that, and then make sure that users can log in that way. So another challenge is the performance bottlenecks may occur due to resource constraints. A solution for that is by optimizing build jobs, improving hardware resources, or using cloud-based scaling options, so that you don't have to manually manage a bunch of servers and things like that, a bunch of hardware resources. You use the cloud, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform. You pick your poison. Use that so that you can not have to worry about these bottlenecks. Another challenge, or two challenges, would be monitoring and maintaining Jenkins health can be challenging. So implementing monitoring tools and setting up alerting systems can provide early warnings of potential issues. And then lastly, managing complex pipelines and configurations might become cumbersome, but adopting modular pipeline design and keeping configurations simple and well documented can help streamline management. So very, very important all around. So what does the future of Jenkins look like, right? So let's take a quick look into the future. So focus on enhanced integration with cloud native technologies and improve support for containerized environments, reflecting the growing trend toward microservices and DevOps practices. So that is a great feature for Jenkins, looking more into like the use of Docker, Kubernetes, and the whole DevOps ecosystem. And another one is continued emphasis on user experience and automation will drive development in Jenkins, making it more intuitive and efficient for managing complex CI/CD pipelines, right? So those two things right there, huge for the future of Jenkins. All right, so that's pretty much it. That was part two. Making it separate so that we can have the beginning phases and then like a little more advanced here. Definitely what we're looking at. If you have any questions, do me a big favor. Leave me a comment. Leave me a comment if you have any questions, right? So that we can address them. I can make sure I can get the answers. If you think there's another additional part, like I said, we might be doing the one for Jenkins files to get a better understanding of that. And then we can also go into like some other tools, some more maybe semi open source, maybe more commercial like TeamCity, maybe Travis CI, maybe Circle CI, getting a good understanding of different CI tools. And then maybe we can live stream about those as well, right? But let's just jump into our conclusion. Let's wrap it up. We just went over a recap of part one. So definitely want to check out part one if you haven't done so already. We spoke about continuous testing. We spoke about deploying with Jenkins. We spoke about monitoring and reporting, as well as extending Jenkins with the different plugins that they might offer. We also spoke about some best practices for Jenkins and some challenges and solutions that you'll face. We spoke about the future of Jenkins as well. All right. So that is it. Do me a favor, get ready for our live stream the following week, where we're going to be continuing what we started the week before. And we're going to get our automated test to run using Playwright in Jenkins. That is the goal of the next Software Explorations live stream, right? Where we're going to be working on Jenkins. So that being said, let's go back to full screen. Hopefully that gave you the rest of the information on Jenkins. Hopefully you found that helpful and informative and you are interested. I mean, even if you're not, you should, if you want to be in tech, you definitely want to be interested. You definitely want to start looking into Jenkins because so many different teams use it, even outside of QA and software developers. So many different teams use Jenkins because they need to be able to run these through pipelines. So you definitely want to check it out. Try to go follow the live stream. Try to set it up on your own. We're going to have a live stream. We're going to be setting up locally with Docker as well. Because maybe you don't have AWS. Maybe you don't have the resources for AWS. But you can definitely use Jenkins locally with Docker. Docker is free. Jenkins is free. So getting it set up, getting it started on your computer, getting familiar with it, setting up a pipeline, very, very important, right? Because guess what? No days off. We have to run it up. There are no options, all right? I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do me a big favor. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so you know every time that we go live. And if you need more help with the Jenkins, if you need more help with CI/CD, if you need help with QA, if you need some help with software development, if you need help learning the cloud, definitely go to techcoachrap.dev, sign up for the Patreon today, and sign up for one-on-one coaching. Let's work together. Let me help you run it up. So much to learn, so little time. But guess what? You are where you are exactly because of yourself. If you want to grow, then come work with me. Let's run it up together. All right. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like the merch, go click on the link, check out some of the merch. hopefully it can help you, inspire you, motivate you to do what you're supposed to do. We have to build that discipline. All right. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. I'll catch you guys on the live stream next week. You guys take care. I am out.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.